how to play Bolero for two cellos. This is the second part. For those of you who have watched the first video concerning this, good job. For those of you who just want to jump right more into the bass part, this is it. But be reminded that both parts are equally important in this. There's a repeating melody that you play, and so you need to both enjoy your repeating bass line at the same time your melody. That starts for you in measure 39. There's a technique I would like for you to consider when you're doing your pizzicatos. Every time you play your low C, you want to slowly roll on your first finger. I will do a demonstration. Now I will demonstrate with a more hammered on sort of effect. You can sometimes even hear this in professional recordings. You hear the fingers slamming down on the cello, and it's just unpleasant because the microphones are just so sensitive these days. I will play with a more aggressive first finger. Did you hear? I was pushing beforehand, but too hard and too fast. Even though I was right on tempo with this hand was making an extra sound. So be aware to slowly press your finger down, and it's best to play it as you're doing the C at the same time. That's a technique that you learn actually when you do recording sessions in the recording studio. Which moves me on to the B flat section. First line we're still on. This is very, very tricky because even though it's 3 quarter notes, 2 of them open strings, your fourth finger is playing that C. Now for those of us that don't have large hands, your fourth finger may seem a bit short for that. You really have to make that arc. I covered this in one video recently concerning the arcing of the fingers. It was Nothing Else Matters, I remember. You really have to arc your fingers. Now, if you want to, slide your third finger up and you have a bit more length on that finger and push your hand out and your elbow out. It's quite exposed, so make sure you arch your fingers. And then there's some accidentals in the second line as you go down, nothing out of the ordinary. So let's get right into the melody. The melody has this off-center sort of approach to it. As you see, let's look at look at 39. It's straightforward. So is 40. 41 is even straightforward until you get to 42. You start on a 16th note off of the first beat. So I'm going to start on 42. You have that extra moment that you play. 1, 2, 3. So be aware that the bowing is perfectly formulated for you to really stay with this offset melody. So dance with your bow. It's very enjoyable. Follow all the bowings. Right there for that melody. You can use the open A if you like. I like to slide up my second finger from the F natural to the G, put a 4 down, and then put the second finger back down on the G. And then going back to first position in measure 43. Same thing applies to the first part as well. In measure 44, lift your bow, start there. And this in 47 is almost a half note. You see a quarter note, a dotted eighth note, and then a 16th note. But if you look closely at the entire length of the time that you're doing down bow, it's 2 full beats. That's actually a half note. Excuse me. That's actually a half note, yes. So hold that to the very, very end till you're almost there, almost at the third beat. 1, 2, 3. You see that? How you fall on to the first beat, fall on to the first beat. I'll demonstrate again, measure 48. Fall on to the first beat. Remember that you're dancing with this, and you do that again and again throughout it. Starting measure 48 again. There, you're falling into the F natural. Then you're going to fall into the D. You see how you play that half note plus the 16th note? So you have to do some subdivision. That's a word we learned in the Nothing Else Matters video. Check that one out even if you don't like Metallica. You learn some great technique in that. Moving forward, we have the same thing that we've already done in the prior part, the B flats. First position I recommend. You can do it up here, but there's a lot of movement, so I suggest first position is nice. Set up your hand prior, and then we're ready for vibrato with your thumb ready to go back to its place. You're all the way up bow. Yes, it's a lot. It's a very long note. That's a whole note plus an eighth note, so it's quite long. Let's go back to measures. I'm looking at measure 59. We have those eighth notes. Follow the bowings, the tenuto markings underneath those up bows. Follow that, the rhythm of it, the feeling, the spirit of the piece. It's sort of this moving of the shoulders, moving of the body, which I'll just pause for a moment, and I'll highly recommend a wonderful film that came out in the late 70s, I believe, or early 80s. It's got a great, just all-star cast, and you know, it's loosely translated into English as Bolero, the Dance of Life. It's wonderful. And in it, there's a famous, I'm going to show you a little clip right here. At the end, the movie ends with a dance performance at the Tour Eiffel. And you have many of the actors that have played throughout the entire movie there in the audience, some watching at home throughout the entire world. And they're watching this incredible performance of nothing but male dancers. And the lead dancer does this sort of undulation of his arms. It's quite memorable, and look it up on YouTube if you like. It's such a great performance of that. All right, so back to this. Yes, I think it's a dance piece. It's repetitive. Kind of goes back to my DJ days when I used to DJ a lot. I really like that repetition, that sort of pulse of the music. So let's continue, measure 63. There's your 3. Be very aware of measure 65. In measure 65, it's written like that for a very particular reason. So you have, I'm actually going to leave those pink marks on it where I use. You can, erase it if you want to. But it really helps you to see where the beat is. You do that when you rehearse music. And of course, we have those accidentals going down. Make sure that you follow those, but don't get too strong on the C string. Quickly move into measure 73, 74. You go right into pizzicato. And you play that motif 5 times, even though you see a repetition of 4. And then you do the modulation to A major. We're starting in measure 84. So let's get some quick fingers. Make sure you're playing that +4, that G sharp. Super important. As you see, it's all in first position. Keep your hand expanded, but make sure you play your C natural there in measure 86. So make sure you're doing that. Going here and then shifting back. I suggest you do that. Keeping your first finger planted on the B, and it's going to be a 0, +4, 2, +4, 0, 1, 2. But the 2 is in different places on your neck. Remember that. Measure 87. So you're shifting out into expanded position, back into your first position, relaxed when you're doing that. And of course, follow the bowings. And you do that continuously going into measure 88. Expansion. You see me release my hand for vibrato. Sometimes you can do that if you can return back to a good extended position. Finishing up, we're starting in measure 89. Expanded first position. Relax. Again, it's all in first position. 92 is an expanded first position. 2 +4, 2, 1. And finish it out in relaxed first position. And that's it. I hope you enjoy the song. It's just such a wonderful piece. And yes, I've arranged this for you. It's taken me actually some years to do it. And hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Please remember to give a comment, talk about your journey with cello, and stick around a while. I think you're going to learn a lot.